Look, there are tons of reasons why it would be a good idea to start a company in Saudi Arabia, but today I'm going to do something different. I'm going to tell you the opposite. Who should not start a company in Saudi Arabia? Because the truth is, yes, the idea sounds great of living in Medina, living in Mecca, having access to all of these places, but practically speaking, it's a whole nother thing and it might not be suitable for everyone. So right now I'm going to list 5 types of people that should not start a company in Saudi Arabia. And as we go through this, just be sure to listen carefully to all of the points, because even though one point may not be relevant to you, it may be relevant to someone that you know.
And before we get into it, just in case you're new here, I'm Almado, your brother from Hong Kong, and at JC Group, we are a team of expats based in Medina with over 7 years combined here in the kingdom, alhamdulillah. And now we specifically help foreign entrepreneurs and investors from all over the world set up their businesses and companies across Saudi Arabia. And the reason why we decided to do this, because it was a big headache for us when we had to navigate all the rules and regulations ourselves. We know exactly how confusing it can be at times. And so because of this, we're here so that we can make sure the process is smooth instead of stressful for you whenever you decide to make the move, inshallah. Okay, back into it.
Firstly, you need to understand one thing about how companies work in Saudi Arabia, and this would help make everything else make sense, inshallah. In Saudi Arabia, if you have a company, it's not a thing where you could just set it up and leave it. And what I mean by that is the importance of staying compliant all the time. There are different rules and regulations that are always updated. So number 1, you have to stay on top of that. And number 2, everything regarding your company when it comes to visas, taxes, your staff, so on. Basically, they're all managed through government portals. And let's say if you have a filing that you have to make and you don't make it on time, this can actually lead to more problems. It could even lead to problems to your residency. So that's why it's very important, first and foremost, to understand that with regards to Saudi companies, it's something that has to be constantly up to date and constantly compliant. If you let these things slip, the system could likely actually freeze the residency that you actually opened the company up for in the first place. But then again, it's actually a good option if you're someone that is intending to do business here, intending to invest here, or at least you have cash to support and keep the company running and alive, inshallah. The second type of person who should not open a company in Saudi Arabia are people that don't have enough cash. So what do I mean by not having enough cash? Because this is very broad. I'm talking about people that only have enough for the company setup. Because if you only budget for the setup cost and you stop there, guess what? You're forgetting about the ongoing costs that will come later on once the setup is completed. Whether it's government platform fees, accounting, renewals, these fees are going to show up. And so with regards to this point, the main thing to keep in mind is just to have extra buffer of cash with you, whether it's for your business or for your company in general and what you're trying to do. It's just to have that extra cash with you. That is always better to be safe than sorry. Okay, and the third thing is the person who has not thought about hiring. In Saudi, let's say you have a business in Dubai, you can't just expect to bring your whole team over here just like that. Just because you have a company, khalas, everything is done and simple. You have to understand that there's a very important rule that is specific to Saudi Arabia, which is called Saudization. Basically, the government wants you to hire Saudi locals as your company grows. And most people don't really think about it. For example, after having a general manager on paper for your company, the next hire is most of the time going to be a Saudi. And obviously, depending on your activity, depending on your sector, there's going to be different Saudi local to foreigner ratios that's going to be allowed for your company. So basically, this is not necessarily a hindrance, because you can understand why Saudi Arabia is doing this, so that they can actually help grow the locals of Saudi Arabia, bring the economy up through locals, which is a very strong and smart strategy, to be honest, in terms of growing the country economically and having a strong domestic market. The most important point here, that let's say you want to hire a new talent from outside, you want to expand, you want to scale your business, just keep this in mind, that you're going to have to hire Saudis for a certain amount of foreigners that you want to bring in. And the fourth thing are people that don't even try to understand how the Saudi market works when it comes to compliance or any of these logistical aspects. For example, we've seen people that have picked the wrong business activity and they were not even aware of the different activities and what they actually entail inside the listed activities. So what ends up happening is that they have to unwind, they end up wasting more time and wasting money, and just becomes a headache when you don't actually try to understand how each part of the process works. And adding to that, if you don't even know what your company is allowed to do and what it's not allowed to do before you even register, then you're not ready to register, full stop. And the last point and the last type of person that I want to mention are people that don't understand the difference between starting a business and actually starting a company. Because registering a company is the easy part, getting it on paper, getting it established and legal, but then keeping it alive, keeping it profitable, keeping it running, that's the real business. So that's what I mean when this point builds on top of the other things that I talked about. Should have a genuine plan to how opening a company in Saudi Arabia is just a starting line. It's not the finish line. Once you get your plan right of what you want to do in Saudi Arabia with your company, then inshallah things will be fine. So basically, to wrap this up, I'm not saying don't open a company in Saudi Arabia, because again, like I said, there are tons of reasons why it's a great reason. This video is just to make sure that if you do it, you do it properly, you do it the right way, and you do it for the right reasons, and so that you just become more prepared overall, inshallah. And so yes, if you're someone that has a business outside and you want to bring it to Saudi Arabia, you have money you want to invest into the kingdom, or you just have cash and capital, you want to move over here and see what to do, then Saudi Arabia is one of the best places to build right now. It's early, the market is growing, and the opportunity is there. And of course, if you are that type of person who is ready to enter the market in Saudi Arabia, to open up a company and you want things done right, click the link in the bio, inshallah, and you'll find everything that you need.